The College Path started off very long ago, all the way in 1900, and the reason it started off is because in the United States, all the universities were very independent in the way they made decisions about how to admit students to college, right? And that would have perhaps created a lot of confusion for students who had to follow a different set of rules across universities. So a number of leading universities in the United States came together and said, let's standardize some of these processes and make it slightly easier for students to apply to a set of universities, right? And the College Board was born out of that association. Till date, we are a membership organization that works with schools and universities across the world to try and help students like you make better decisions and apply to colleges of your choice around the world. All right? So let's get talking about the SAT, or in India, we love to call the SAT the SAT exam, right? That's the name we like to use in India. So the SAT is a standardized assessment, right? In the talk before me, we talked about the different components that comprise a university application, especially to the United States, right? So your academics in school, of course, is very important. Your essays, your letters of recommendation, your profile overall, and then the SAT, which is a standardized component, also is a critical component of the college application process. All right? Why do colleges use the SAT? For a number of different reasons. One, because students from across the world studying different curriculum, different levels of rigor are applying to universities. Right? It's not easy for an admissions officer to be able to compare one student from Africa to a student in Asia to a student somewhere in the Americas, right? SAT is one way that makes their job a little easier because it's a globally standardized test, so it's easier and more fair to compare student performances in the SAT because it's the same no matter where you're taking the exam. Right? The other reason that universities who use the SAT find it useful is because it is not a content test. The SAT is a skill-based assessment. We are assessing your skills in critical reading, in writing, and in math. And these three areas of skills are important to college admissions officers because irrespective of what you decide to graduate in or major in, chances are that these skills are going to be required irrespective of your chosen course of study, right? And which is why a lot of students, when they ask me what is the syllabus for SAT or what is the content for SAT, I don't necessarily have an answer because there is no syllabus. It's testing your skills, right? The exam is currently scored out of a total of 2,400 points. That's the maximum that you can get. The lowest you can get is 600, but I don't think anyone in India needs to worry about that. We tend to perform pretty well on standardized tests, right? Each of the sections is 800 each. There is currently negative marking, so you have to be careful about random guesswork on the exam, all right? When should you take the SAT? This is a question that I deal with very, very often. Many times students suddenly wake up in class 12 and decide that they want to apply to universities outside, right? What we have to understand is that the application process outside India, especially in the US, is different to the one in India. It requires a lot more preparation and groundwork. If you plan to take the SAT, I strongly advise that you try and do it in the 11th grade. Right? In the 12th, you're very strained by board exams and many other things going on in school, right? Also, a lot of students around the world choose to take the SAT more than once. They do the exam twice. Sometimes it's because the first time they're just trying to familiarize themselves with the exam, or because it's very different in format to what we're used to doing in school. Sometimes that can be overwhelming, right? So you might think that you can perform better if you do the exam a second time. For this reason as well, it's good to take your first attempt in the 11th because then you're leaving yourself enough time to perhaps do a second attempt if needed. If you're going to ask me, should I do the SAT a third time or a fourth time, I strongly discourage the act, right? You might have private companies outside that might encourage you to give the SAT multiple times, but at the College Board, we feel that you've taken the test twice, you've probably shown your potential. Taking it a third or a fourth time isn't necessarily going to improve your score. Please spend that time studying, spend that time working on your application, doing research, improving your profile, right? Don't spend it taking a standardized test again and again and again. With the SAT, we also talk about something called SAT subject test, right? Or the SAT 2, as we like to call it here. SAT subject tests give students the opportunity to demonstrate their ability in a subject of their choice. Right? So for some of you who might want to pursue journalism, for example, you might want to take a subject test in English. If you're interested in pursuing engineering, you might want to take a subject test in physics or chemistry or higher level math, which we call math level 2. Some universities in the US, especially the highly selective universities such as MIT or Caltech, mostly for engineering programs, do make it compulsory for you to take subject tests. And the reason they do that is because while they are very comfortable with the fact that you've proven your reading, writing, and math skills, because you're choosing to study something in the sciences, they also want to seek comfort in the fact that you have basic required knowledge in the sciences as well. Right? So some universities make it compulsory and they tell you clearly you have to take 2 subject tests or 3 subject tests, and they will typically advise the combination of subjects you should look at. Subject tests should align with your intended area of study, right? So if you plan to pursue engineering, you want to try and take subject tests in the sciences, right? Many universities in the United States don't require subject tests. Some of them will recommend it. My advice to you is if someone is recommending something, please do it. But many other universities, a large spectrum of universities, don't require you to submit subject test scores. And in that case, it's fine if you don't do the exams, right? If you think that taking a subject test can add significant value to your application, then do it. Otherwise, it's okay for you not to do it if the university hasn't asked for it, all right? How can students prepare for the SAT? This is a question we hear very, very often. I know many people in India like taking test preparation and coaching classes, and that's fine. That's a decision left up to you. If you choose to do that, if you think it's helping you, that's okay. However, at the College Board, we do a lot to try and help you with high quality, free or inexpensive resources. You can sign up on the College Board website for something called Question of the Day. Every day on your email address, we send you one SAT practice question. All right, it's a good way to getting exposed to what the test actually looks like. We also have a sample practice test available on our website. Anyone can download it for free. We also have a partnership with Khan Academy. How many of you are familiar with the Khan Academy or have used it? A few of you. For those of you who don't know, the Khan Academy is a website-based learning platform which allows students across the world to learn a variety of things entirely for free using videos, tutorials, practice questions. On the Khan Academy website, you can find many resources about the SAT completely free of cost, right? Besides that, if you want to buy some of College Board's original resources, you can get access to something called the official SAT study guide. It's a big fat blue book with sample practice questions. It's available on our website. It's also available on Flipkart or Amazon or bookstores if you want to buy it, all right? I know in the previous session somebody asked for students to raise their hands if they're in the 9th or 10th, right? Could you quickly tell me again if you're in the 9th or 10th grade? Okay, this is just for you and I'll skim through it very quickly. The SAT is changing next year. So in May 2016, you will see a revised format of the SAT in India and across the world, right? Those of you who are currently in the 9th and 10th will get impacted by this change because the current exam will no longer be available to you, right? We feel that all the changes we are doing are for the better. We think it's a much better exam than what it is right now. We are going back to a 1600 point scoring scale. We are getting rid of something called negative marking. We are getting rid of the much feared vocabulary sections, so you don't have to learn complicated words for the SAT. Lots of other changes coming around. All the information about that change is available on our website. For those of you who've picked up kits, this brochure is going to be in that kit and you'll find a lot of useful links in that brochure which will help you understand what the redesigned SAT looks like, all right? I want to spend the next 5 minutes, because I have I think about 10 to 12 minutes left, I want to spend 5 minutes talking about something called the AP program, and then I want you to ask me questions so that I can help you understand our programs better. AP is giving students in high school or secondary school, just like you, the opportunity to take higher level courses and exams while you're still in school, right? When I say higher level, I mean typically these are exams that are testing your ability and knowledge of skills that you would typically acquire in the first year or first semester of university. So they're academically rigorous courses and exams. Usually, in many schools in India and around the world, students would actually be studying AP courses in school, right, much through the academic year, the way you study for CBSE, ISC, or any other board, and then take an exam at the end of the day, right? However, AP is flexible, so even if you don't have the opportunity to take AP exams through a formal school, if your school's not offering the courses, you can still benefit from APs in your college application, right? And how can you do that? Right. Three broad benefits of APs, right? APs can help some of you create a stronger application when you're applying to colleges abroad, right? It can also help you earn college credits, and it can help you build skills that could be very useful to you once you actually begin studying at university outside India, right? Let's talk about the first benefit that I'm talking about. AP, as I said, is an academically rigorous program, right? So just as a word of caution before we move forward, not everyone in this room is going to be the right segment for AP exams. Only if you're exceptionally academically motivated, if you enjoy studying, if you thrive on academic challenges, then AP is relevant to you, right? If you are one of those students, how can it help you? It can help you strengthen the academic component of your application. With the SAT, it's almost compulsory, right? Colleges tell you have to take the SAT to apply to our college. But AP is not compulsory. No university in the entire world will ever tell you have to take an AP exam to gain admission in my college, right? Because of that, when you take an AP, you're sending out a positive signal to the admissions officer that you pushed yourself beyond what was required of you in school and you're willing to academically challenge yourself. In some cases, especially when you're applying to highly competitive schools, that can help you add weight to your application. Bear in mind, it's not the only way to strengthen your application. There are many interesting ways available. AP exams are one way of you strengthening your application, all right? The second thing that APs can do for you is help you earn college credits. In the United States and in many other parts of the world, in order for you to graduate from college, every course that you take over 4 years allows you to earn a certain number of credits, right? Only when you accumulate the minimum number required to graduate can you actually get a degree from that college. With APs, you can try and earn some of those credits before you even start college, right? How can that help you? It can help you in a number of different ways. One, for those of you who are concerned about the cost of studying abroad, it's very common for Indian students to take AP exams and do well in them and then transfer those credits so that they can graduate from college in maybe 3 or 3.5 years instead of 4 years, right? If you take less time to graduate from college, you'll also be saving a lot of money, right? Because you're reducing your time there by about 20-25%. So that's one benefit of earning college credits. The other benefit is that it can make your time at university a bit more flexible. If you have to do less requirements in terms of credits at college in that 4-year period, you might be able to take more courses and then graduate with a double major instead of a single major. Or you might be able to take 6 months off from college and go do an internship somewhere to get real world experience, right? So these are some of the examples of how APs can help you by allowing you to earn college credits.